Hello, this is Dimitrios Tsibougis and Nikolaos Vandoros, and this is the screencast for our Assignment 1 in Computer Applications course. We start with setting up the MySQL database drivers and the base power, which is going to be, of course, the same for the whole program. We begin by the parsing of the files. For this, we created a class called fileRead that is going to be doing the parsing. As we can see, here is the class. The file is chosen through the GUI that we created. It is going to be presented later when we will run the program. Here is the parsing. Here we pick up the EQ file, and here we browse the EQ file, and the same is done later for the SSH file. We follow the normal procedure in order to build the document after opening the file, building the document factory, and returning the files in the main function to start the actual parsing. And here the following procedure is going to be continued for each type of component from the XML file. We will be creating a node list which we will transfer to an array list again for each element, base, voltage, transformers, all of them. And this is the actual filling. This is the creation, and this is the actual filling of the array list. In each case, it's done through an extract function. That's how we named them. The same is done for all elements, as you can see here. We just want to say that some, of course, as you can see, some elements are parsed twice, categories of elements,
both files.
because they need both files, both the EQ and the SSH file. We will see a function. We will take the synchronous machine function, which has the most one second, which was one of the most complex ones. Okay, it was one of the most complex because child nodes were needed, because there were subfolders containing attributes.
Ones that we couldn't reach by get element by tag name.
By tag name. We can see here the initialization of the elements that need to be parsed, that were parsed, and these are the attributes that we actually want to save. Here is here we will find the required child list that we have to access. This wasn't necessary in all components, but in this one it was. Here is the parsing of all the elements, and in the end we have the constructor of the synchronous machine class that the same was done for every component, which will create an object with all the data that we actually need. And it's good. The constructor creates an object that is in turn added to the component array list, to the synchronous machine array list of objects. Where do we go now? Okay.
Okay. So this, I'm Nikolaos Vandoros, and this one is the method that we call in order to create our database. The method is this one. first we ask through GUI for the credentials of the database, the username and the password. Then we create the connection, and then since we create a relational database and we couldn't drop tables including father columns, we drop the entire database since we don't need it, and we create a new one. For each database, we first call upon the create table. We first would call upon the drop table if we didn't have a relational database. As you can see here, we have a method creating the database, and this is the name of the columns and the in each class we have this query, and we have the type of the columns and the primary key and everything we need. And then let's see it's filled during with the prepared statement, and it's updated. And then what we will do is we will see a relational case. That's the voltage level, for example. It includes a foreign key referring the column substation, on the column substation referring the table substations at the substation ID column, and if this is deleted or updated, this one changes. And we have a second foreign key on the base voltage column referring base voltages on the ID. This is what we do for every one of those, so I don't think there is any meaning of going into detail for each one. And then we have, if everything has been done correctly, we output through our GUI that the database was created. And that covers question 2. And the third part of the assignment was to create our Y-bus. In order to do so, we created a translational array list, which includes, we failed to mention earlier that in everything that will go on, that will participate in the creation of the Y matrix, we have assigned IDs. We have an ID for the terminal and ID for bus bar.
For each terminal and for each breaker.
For each breaker, for 2 terminals per line, 2 terminals per transformer. So what we do with translation is we fill it here, and we add the ID of the terminal connected to it, the type, and then the other ID, the second ID. Okay. That's the translation array list. And after that we create, we refer to a class called cnterms, and this will have inside the ID of a connectivity node, and then an array list of all the terminals connected to the connectivity node, and that's where we fill it. You can see here. And then we create an array list called check. It has inside the terminals that have been parsed and by which bus they were parsed, because the routing will be done by starting from each bus and parsing through terminals and then finding the in-between connection from all routes. Okay. And finally we have a same bus. This is an array list containing the bus that are only connected through breakers. We'll see later.
Which means that they will not be separate columns and rows in the Y matrix for them.
Yeah, and then we have an isolation. This will be used to check whether our bus is isolated. And let's go. We start on by taking the first terminal from the first bus, the terminal ID of the first bus. You see that we said that we have passed the terminal through starting from bus I. Then we go to the connectivity nodes. We check so that we don't go back to the terminal that we passed before, and then we start checking all the terminals connected to the connectivity nodes. And then we check whether this terminal that we have reached is a component of the Y bus, because maybe it's a load or a machine which is not a part of the Y bus we are called to make.
A machine, actually, if we had loads, they would be needed in the Y bus.
We have loads, but they don't need it for some reason. And then we do the same thing again as we did before. Now we check the status of the. I failed to mention that the translation is made so that the ID of the terminal is the same as the position of the array list. That was made so it makes our life much more easier. Then we check what the terminal is connected to. Is it a breaker? Is it an AC line or a power transformer? And we more or less go on and do exactly the same thing. Here we check whether we have whether our breaker is open, and it's true. And then see here we just check. We do exactly the same thing as we did before. And if we reach a case where the two routes meet, then we are fine. Then we know that we have a route. The same thing happens with the AC lines and the power transformers. Here we check for the isolation. Okay, here we create the Y matrix. We have an array list called CB. This CB array list has inside, for each route, it has inside the admittance, the shunt admittance, the bus ID that we started from, and the bus ID that we ended up to. And then we merge the buses that are only connected through breakers, and there is nothing else between. Then that's what we do here. And then we merge the buses that we have double connections. For example, if two AC lines are connected to the same bus, we merge this. Then we find the bus IDs of the ones that are in our CB, YB, and then we sort them so the first pass is the first one served. Finally, we have our Y matrix final. We initialize it so it's C size. That's the size of the startlets, which has inside all the buses.
The number of the buses that are used in the Y matrix.
So it's size by size, and then what we do is fill in the elements, which are first we fill the diagonal elements, and then we fill the non-diagonal elements, and that's our Y matrix.
And finally, we also created another function that creates the Y bus in the GUI. We used the JComponents libraries from Java. I think you're gonna like it. We're gonna run it now. See here, it redirects us, the file reader redirects us to the
to a browser?
To the browser, but I want to say to the root folder that we are, but we can of course explore everywhere. We pick up the two files that we need.
We enter the credentials.
Here, the database is created, as you can see, and we also get the Y matrix in. We hope you enjoyed it.
That's all from us.
And feel free to contact us if you need any further information.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.